Welcome to another exciting episode of the Late Night Hour, broadcasting from our secret, undisclosed, underground bunker location. The voice of freedom, and a warm welcome to you. Here on the Late Night Hour, we explore the topics not found on television.
You're listening to the Late Night Hour.
Okay, a warm welcome to you on a beautiful Sunday evening, broadcasting live from our bunker, enjoying a mellow Sunday night, having our favorite beverage, and checking out the news. It's definitely been somewhat of a crazy day. We've been monitoring the hurricane over in Hawaii, and that's simmered down a bit. And we've wished our cousins in Hawaii the best. And today they had some more exciting news with the Hawaiian Little League winning the World Series. I think all those Little Leaguers stood for the Pledge of Allegiance, at least last I've checked. We have at least one remaining American icon club activity for young men. Some of the others have sold out. They're not holding their ground. They want to change everything. The Boy Scouts are the Girl Scouts. The Girl Scouts are the Boy Scouts. It's all changing because it's all under attack. These ideas to change these American institutions don't just come out of thin air. They're funded. They're funded by activists and radicals that want to drastically change this country. And we, as Americans and American parents, are going to have to stand up for this onslaught, or this country won't be recognized in another 50 years. They're working hard. They're well funded. And they're as psycho as it comes. So that's our challenge. Here on the Late Night Hour, you probably notice I'm not exactly politically correct. And until they crack down and pull the plug, I think I'm still entitled to my viewpoints and opinions. But you can call in and convince me that I'm wrong or somehow lost in these issues. Our live call-in number is 515-602-9663. I do this live show every night, 10 p.m. Pacific time. And I look forward to chatting with you. If you're scared to call into the live line, feel free to find us at our chat room, where you can ask questions or call me names. The easiest way is if you just go to our website, thelatenighthour.com, and you can link right there over to our chat room and pop that open. And I would like to welcome you. Just a minute, because I'm going to need a little more beverage here. I'm just getting warmed up. Okay, much better now. Now, the one thing that happened to me this week is some medical advice that I can't drink coffee. Why this is important is because of Starbucks. I always wondered, how did this fabulous idea to serve a cup of coffee, I guess it was espresso, how did this wonderful idea spread all over the world and become this $8 a cup of coffee? Well, the answer, of course, is for some reason, the elite wanted to fund the expansion of Starbucks. On their cup, they have the little demonic siren, or not sure if it's a mermaid or a serpent or some kind of demon. Some might say it's a Lilith. Anyway, whatever it is on their cup. I don't like it. I don't like the looks of it. I don't like their anti-American cups with no flag. There's a whole bunch of issues. I don't like their colors. And I don't like paying $8 for a cup of coffee that used to be 99 cents or maybe $1.99. So there's a lot of issues here with Starbucks. But I couldn't figure out why the billionaires, the bankers, wanted to put all this money into Starbucks. Then I got the medical advice this week. And basically, I'm told I can't drink coffee. So I go from my 15 cups of coffee a day. Now I have to drink water. But I can drink tea because it's not the caffeine in the coffee that's bad for you. It is the acidity. It is making your body acidic. And within that is the answer to why the Bilderbergs, for example, Schultz, the head of Starbucks, attended the Bilderberg meetings, I believe, or he sent someone there. So there's your linkage again to a corporation and the global elite Bilderbergs. And they obviously provided the funding to expand Starbucks and place these outlets all over the world. And they serve the $8 coffee. But the point is, they serve to acidify, to turn the human population acidic. The purpose? To make you more susceptible to disease, such as cancer. And that's just the coffee. I heard the same kind of story with the potatoes. It might even have been linked to Warren Buffett and some of the companies he's owned being heavy into acidic potatoes. And then we've all heard of acid rain. So there's this whole, I think, acidity going on. Some doctors have suggested that all the foods have been tweaked to make them acidic. And so that's something you may want to check out. I think there's some pH strips you can test, or the dentist uses them to test the acidity level within your body. And you're probably saying, Alex, you're just a conspiracy and you're paranoid and everything. But I'm not sure now. So getting back to the big point here, I can't drink coffee, and I love coffee. So I had to hide the coffee pot. I had to hide the coffee cups. Anything that reminds me of coffee now I had to get rid of, which really makes me upset. And when I get upset, I tend to take it out on the globalists or the elitists and their henchmen like McCain. So today was just pathetic because I woke up to all these glowing reports of John McCain and how he was a hero and all this branding that is complete nonsense. I did manage to get over to a search engine, and all you have to search for is John McCain is evil. That's all you need to search for. You search for that. You can start to find all the stuff that McCain has voted for, supported, and not just voted. He got out there and led efforts in some of these areas. He's basically responsible for probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of deaths around the world. You don't have to take my word for it. You can go out there and search John McCain is evil. And guess what? Guess who's speaking at his funeral? The Bush crime family and the Obama crime family. Hey, I thought these two parties were against each other. Oh, they're going to come together for the good of humanity in bipartisan partnership. Yeah, well, we've always said they both report to the same masters. So it's not surprising these two worms, Bush and Obama, are going to speak at McCain's funeral. I won't be watching it, and I would say a good riddance. But if you want to search for John McCain is evil, you will find that he was leading the effort for wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, possibly trying to get us into China, Iran, Nigeria. He's filmed with ISIS terrorists. They've got photos all over the net of him meeting with the ISIS terrorist leaders. And so this guy is no hero. Some suggest he's a Manchurian candidate that was tortured in his capture and turned into a foreign agent. Who knows? I don't care. Good riddance. And just remember, here at the Late Night Hour, we told you to search for John McCain is evil. But if you put on the mainstream media, they're going to sugarcoat it for you. They're going to say, oh, he's a hero. He's done all these wonderful things. I saw some NFL players, who I won't mention by name, saying he's done the greatest work for the state of Arizona, where they bring the drugs over and the illegal immigration. And Mr. McCain kept that stream going. He is probably solely responsible for the massive flow of drugs and the illegal immigration in Arizona. So we will leave it there for now. But we'll come back to John McCain again. We will give him some respect with some time that I don't go into the real gory details. But that's what I do here on the Late Night Hour. So if you don't like it, don't turn on the channel. We don't need censorship. We just need people to decide what they want to hear and what they don't want to hear. I'm all for that. There's a lot of things I turn off. For example, every television news station I turn off. They're lying to you. They also have a 20-25-second delay so that the truth can't get out. They have that little stopgap measure there. But I'm getting pretty wrapped up for a Sunday night, and I'm probably even going to get more frustrated because there's just so much to talk about. So I hope you tune in every evening at 10 o'clock and listen to my nightly rant. If I'm not here, once in a while I might skip a night simply because I got a social offer to go do something. Hey, I went and watched Mile 22. You see, I am a fairly normal person, and I get sucked in sometimes, and I go watch the movies. I noticed it was paid for by, I believe, China, and the enemy was Russian, and all this stuff with the Russian collusion was woven in there. Isn't that interesting? So every movie is some type of propaganda angle. However, I enjoyed the show, and by that I mean I stayed awake for the full length of the movie, which is rare. Most of these are sleepers. There's nothing new under the sun. They just remake, rehash what's been done in the past. They call it art. But I had to admit, I stayed awake. There was, a high KPM, killings per minute, in this movie, Mile 22, but they cut most of the gore and, blood and all that. So it wasn't too bad. And I could still eat my popcorn. And I don't like a particular gory movie. I know it's fake and everything, but it's just the whole sounds and texture and stuff. And you don't really need that because the imagination is way worse than actually depicting something. So if they just kind of make the suggestion, let us take it from there. We can imagine what happens in some of these violent scenes. So I guess actually it's a really bad night to bring up Mile 22 and KPMs and violence given the situation that happened there in Florida. And I've been to some of those gaming events, and they're very much fun, and they normally have some police there. I haven't looked at this particular venue and what was going on, but I don't believe a lot of it. I mean, I'm going to come back in a little while here, and we'll talk about it. Certainly people may have been killed, don't get me wrong with that, but I don't believe it was just some random event again. And I'll tell you why, because I can just look at the numbers of the event and tell you right off, there's way too many numerical coincidences. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a little more tea. Can't drink coffee anymore. I'll be back in about a minute. She walks into a winter day
into a midnight haze. She will follow you. She will follow you. She will follow you. She will follow along to you.
You're listening to The Late Night Hour with Alex Abrams.
Okay, the shooting that took place today in Florida, I just took like a 5-minute look at it, and that's what we do here on this show. What the Late Night Hour is about is monitoring all the corners of the internet and letting you know if something major is developing that you should be aware of to help you and your family be ready for the unexpected. But we also pull out stories, obviously, that are in the news that are important, so you don't have to read all this random news meant to overload you with information and keep you in a state of confusion, oppression, depression. So just tune in to the Late Night Hour, or you can listen to our shows recorded. Flip it on. If there's anything important, Alex is going to let you know about it from my underground bunker, where it's safe to say, at least for now, anything I desire. But who knows? If you hear the plug being pulled, don't worry. We'll find another way to get our information out there. That's what the beauty of the internet is. Multiple channels that, in theory, can never be shut down and controlled. Now, they might try, but let's hope that our ingenuity can keep them away from total tyranny, which I'm sure they would love to have. You ask yourself, why haven't they taken over? Because they can't do it yet. And so we still have this window of opportunity to beat back these globalists for another 1,000 years. Getting back to this story, I told you 2 nights ago, if you listen closely to my show 2 nights ago, I told you the magic numbers. Numerology is used because they think it gives them special powers over the masses. I told you specifically the numbers 6, 7, 6 plus 7 equals 13, plus the number 11. So 6, 7, 11, 13. I look at the story today, and the first thing, let's see, David Katz, identified as the shooter. He is 24 years old. 2 plus 4, 6. There's your 6. The victims, age of father, age 27. Okay. 27, although it wasn't specifically a number, because if you add 2 plus 7, you get 9, and we had 9/11. So it's kind of close. But the reason I mentioned 27 is because of all the dead musicians. Jim Morrison, many others died at age 27. So 27's always been a special number. The other victim, age 22. I told you the number 11 was important. 11 plus 11 gives you 22. In fact, it's one of the hardest numbers to get to, except with an 11. So isn't that interesting? And as we continue to look at it, there were how many people injured? 11. So there's the number 11 again. So these numerologies are woven in because they're able to tell their agents in the field that they did this event. They like to brag about it. And so they bury this numerology in there. So I've only looked at the story for like 5 minutes. Okay, let's offer our condolences to the victims, and let's wait to investigate and see what else we find out. Oftentimes, these shooters were already under surveillance or known about by the FBI or the police, who were given stand-down orders because these shooters are kind of put in position to be the patsies, and most of the time they always commit suicide, which happened here today with David Katz. Another shooter that then commits suicide. How convenient this is. You'd think a shooter would actually want to talk about it, grab some fame and fortune, and write a book in prison, and make millions of dollars. So why are all these shooters suiciding themselves? I just don't buy it. And we've also forgotten how to take a shooter alive. The police are always killing the shooters. They never can wound them so they can talk. So it's just a very odd situation. But let's keep going here. A lot of the shooters, in fact, some researchers say every shooter was taking antidepressants, specifically the SSRIs. And the reason I want to mention this tonight is because one of the SRIs, let's see, one of the SSRIs, Prozac, was manufactured and invented by the Eli Lilly Company. And wouldn't you know it, the Eli Lilly Company also invented and manufactured LSD for the CIA MK Ultra program. So what's the odds of that? All these shooters that are on SSRIs, oftentimes Prozac, oftentimes, well, it would be manufactured by Eli Lilly and Company, who was the vendor for LSD for the CIA's MK Ultra program. What's the odds of all those things lining up? So we'll see if this shooter, David Katz, was taking Prozac. Of course, there's other SSRI drugs, such as Zoloft or Paxil. So we'll see. Very often I've noticed, too, that these shooters were seeing a psychologist. Oftentimes the psychologists are linked to the military-industrial complex. So you'll have to look a little deeper, and we'll see what happened here with Mr. Katz and the shooting today. I believe that was in Jacksonville, Florida. If you have more information, you can give me a call at 515-602-9663, or you can come into our chat room and share what you know about this. I literally spent just 5 minutes on it. I didn't really want to dig deep tonight on this subject. It gets a little bit depressing. We're sorry to see any young people killed at events. I guess I should point out the police weren't there to help anybody. The police will only spray a white line around your body, and they'll eat donuts and make nice reports. So these people who believe that you don't need the ability to defend yourself, the police are going to save you. Here's another example of failure by any type of security at the event to prevent this killing. And so that's something that you need to be aware of. Your ability to defend yourself is very important. And that's why it's in the Constitution, the right to self-defense. We should also point out that some of these shooters, they hear voices. God told them to do the killing. And you should understand that there is a weapon. Let's see, that weapon makes you hear voices in your head. Yes, it's an actual weapon. It's called the Long Range Acoustic Device, or LRAD. LRAD. It was used in Iraq. They can send the voice of God over the battlefield to give up. Let's give up here. We're outmanned. God says to put down your weapons. And so there's no reason the LRAD can't be used domestically, illegally, of course, for these to be turned on U.S. citizens, but that doesn't stop them. So it'll be interesting to hear if the shooter, well, I guess we won't hear from him because he committed suicide, but we'll see if he was seeing a psychologist and he was hearing voices. I point this out because I think the last few shooters were hearing voices. And so this also can be a tip-off. So that's enough on that subject. It is rather depressing. Any shooting is depressing. And what we need is more self-defense, more schools with random armed agents that can fire back and stop these school shootings. We don't need the body scanners and the TSA wearing their bright blue suits at every event and every school. Now, they certainly want that because they make a lot of money from all of these services, but we don't need that. We just need the right to defend ourselves and an end to these gun-free zones that are easy marks. So that's the solution. I hope that I think we're seeing a wave that's starting to recognize this because it is an important issue. And we need kind of a balance between the criminals and the armed citizens who can protect themselves, especially in this day and age of modern society and modern weaponry. And I think when citizens are properly trained and they use these kind of tools respectfully, and any incidents of misuse are pretty rare. I have confidence in, the American public to defend themselves responsibly. Hey, I think a lot of the pilots are armed. I think we got armed flyers on lots of aircraft. Hasn't been an incident. So I think it's fine. I think it's proven. I think schools and churches and other things should have some armed protection in this day and age. You're listening to Alex Abrams on a beautiful Sunday. Come on into our chat room if you want, and you can find us at theLateNightHour.com. I'll be back in just a minute.
You're listening to The Late Night Hour with Alex Abrams.
I had a meltdown at the store the other day because I went to do the self-check, so you take your groceries and you scan the barcodes. They want barcodes on everything, and there are some researchers that say that the barcode has the hidden number 666 in it, but that's neither here nor there. The fact is, I went to scan my groceries, and then I went to put them in the bag. And guess what? There's no plastic bags. There's no bags at all. Then all of a sudden I look underneath, and there I see these paper bags, beautiful paper bags, and I grab a few of those and put them out. And then I come to find out they're 50 cents each. So not only do I not get the free plastic bag because I'm a environmental danger, and I have to buy the paper bags. So this is the new environmental movement trying to infect every American business and every service out there to guilt you. You know, not only to guilt you, they want to tax you for your carbon expenditures. And you're basically a useless eater that consumes air and water and resources, and you should be taxed for all those consumptions. And it's coming. It's this micromanaging. So don't get me wrong. I know about the plastic island and how plastic is filling the sea and killing the sea life and ruining the ecosystem. But they are missing one point, and that is I can use the plastic bags over and over and over and over again. If they get wet, they still work. So my plastic bags can actually be used. They can be recycled for like 15 different uses. There's a lot of different uses for plastic bags. Now, I'm not going to get into that tonight, but boy, I could tell you some imaginative uses for my plastic bags. But now I don't get any plastic bags, and I have to pay 50 cents for the paper bag, which if it gets wet, it's ruined. It doesn't last as long as a plastic bag. So what does that mean? I end up buying more paper bags. I buy 5 bags to like 1 plastic bag that I could have just reused. And so I'm not even sure their paper bag makes sense. It takes way more energy to probably make 5 of them to 1 plastic bag. But we'd have to do the analysis sometimes. If there's a bag expert out there, please call our show. Our call-in number is 515-602-9663. I'd love to hear from you. Unless you say something dumb, then we'll cut you off the air. But that got me really upset, not having any bags. Then they want to charge you for the paper bag, but also they want to sell you one of those like bedazzled bags. It's really flashy. You can get your slogan of choice, down with Trump, open the border and just let this country be flooded, whatever the slogan is you love. Boy, I'm going to stop there so I don't say a slogan I'll regret. So anyway, there's this whole bag thing going on at the grocery stores. It's pretty irritating. I think last night I talked about the grocery monopoly and how they've got you. So you can listen to that recording and about the grocery store monopolies they're running and dividing up the city and not allowing any competition in anymore. So that's a whole nother direction. Then I got really upset because when I left the grocery store, okay, I'm driving. This car in front of me is going like really slow. Okay, like slow, really slow. What the heck? I lay on my horn. I start kind of getting in right up where I'm going to give him a little nudge at the bumper, and then I see it. And right there in a little tiny sticker, it says, student driver. And then, okay, I back off. They don't know what they're doing. I understand. And then I got like this vision, this brainstorm, and I wondered, these young people are required, thank God, to take a student driver course. Isn't that cool? And they probably charge them $200 to $400 for their student driver course. But I don't believe illegal immigrants have to pass a student driver course. And that's where I got this great idea. What if we required, since they're not citizens, and they really shouldn't get a driver's license and a voting card instantly, what if we said you had to pass the driver's test? I'm sorry, you have to pass the student driver course first, and then you can take the test. The test is pretty mindless, and it's pretty easy to pass, at least the written one. But making them take the course should help our illegal immigrant driving situation. Because not only is it bad to get into a country illegally, it's really bad to be a bad driver on top of that. So I think this is going to be a moneymaker for the state and the cities. And let's require the illegal immigrants to take a legal student driver course before they can take the driving exam. So I had this great brainstorm from this terrible incident because I had to get, to the bathroom, and I couldn't just sit around and wait for the student driver. It was literally killing me, okay? So and I had this idea, hey, if anybody knows in their state, if they require a student driver course for an illegal immigrant, let me know. Maybe they've already thought of this. I think they waive those, especially if you're over 18 years old. So I think that's something we can look into. So today was, it's kind of crazy. We had the shooter in Jacksonville. We had the Hawaii hurricane winding down. And then we had the Hawaii Little League win the World Championship over South Korea, which I thought was a nice sportsmanship event. I thought it was well run. They stood for the Pledge of Allegiance to the best of my knowledge. So that was pretty nice. That was how it used to be, how the professional sports used to be. Very well run, very respectful, good sportsmanship, fought hard on the field. There was just, a lot of good things out of the Little League situation. So I hope you got a chance to watch that. Maybe they can give some lessons to the big leaguers and the pro sports, how they should actually act on these sporting events. The other thing that's really been increasing lately is the TSA pat-downs are becoming more and more vicious. There's been a lot of complaints, growing complaints against the TSA, getting more invasive on the areas they're touching. It's like they're ratcheting up this pat-down to make us purchase more of these body scanners, which were brought to you by Cherkoff. I don't want to say that name wrong. So it's a fitting name for him, for sure. Some say he was former Israeli intelligence and he worked for the Bush or Clinton administration, and then he invested in the body scanners. And then after 9/11, guess what? They installed all the body scanners. They've been pushing hard for body scanners at the casinos, like what happened in Las Vegas is going to get fixed because they let the guy carry 200 weapons up through the hotel. If they had a body scanner, that would have stopped that. They've been pushing pretty hard for body scanners in every hotel. They want body scanners in every school. They want body scanners at every event. This is very concerning. These body scanners are very intrusive. Who knows really where those images are sent? And are they doing other things besides just checking for security? Are they checking your organs to see if they're good for resale value? What exactly are they up to with these body scanners? And I know they're party line that the images aren't networked and they're not sent and they're blacked out and all these good explanations. But I highly doubt it. And then just look at the little blue powdery uniforms they wear. Why can't they wear like real red, white, and blue, like real Americans would wear red, white, and blue? They almost have this communist blue powder outfit on, something you'd see Hillary Clinton wearing more in a gown or something, but it's terrible. I can't even imagine putting on the powder blue with the black tie. I think they're going to have to pay the TSA agents more just to put that outfit on. It's like a clown outfit. So I guess they want to show how visible they are. It'd be nice to show that they were like supporters of the U.S. of A. and might adhere to our colors of red, white, and blue and the correct deep blue instead of this powdery blue. So it just really, the whole thing is, it's just bad. I did have some friends say they brought out dogs now and maybe getting rid of the body scanners and letting the dog check you out and give you a sniff and see if you're carrying any explosives. So there's hope. I would support the dogs. Somebody pointed out that, guess what? You're going to love this. To get into the White House, they have you checked out not by a body scanner, but by the dog. They use dogs at the White House, but at the airport they got to use body scanners because the dog's not good enough, I guess. But we are seeing some airports deploy dogs now, which, by the way, is used in one of the safest countries fighting terrorism, Israel. They use dogs, not body scanners, although they might sold some in there now. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what these body scanners are really up to, if they're radiating everybody, if it's part of the acidity and all the other things they're trying to do to reduce the population. So we don't know. I think long term we're going to find out. But I'm hoping Americans in different positions of authority just pass on body scanners. We don't need them. We don't want them. And I hope that Chertoff doesn't make any more stock money from selling his body scanners around the globe as part of this military-industrial complex, peddling his junk. Boy, we're picking out some really bad words tonight. It's just, the whole thing is, it's just a mess. It's always around the TSA and the body scanners and Chertoff and everything. I'm having a tough time with his last name, so we'll leave it at there. I think you get my drift. TSA bad, TSA terrible, TSA awful. Let's break them up. Let each airport hire their own people, and that will break up this tyranny and get us back to sensible security, maybe with some dogs over there. So that's an issue. Some people say that there is no conspiracy theory. And I always think of that guy, Cass Sunstein, the professor, the expert on conspiracy. I think he was hired by either the Bush or the Clinton administration. Pretty sure it was Bill Clinton, because all of his escapades, of course, were conspiracy theory. Clinton was just innocent of all these wrongdoings with the interns, et cetera, et cetera. Never went to Epstein Island. So all of this is conspiracy theory. So he hires this professor, Cass Sunstein, a great American trader who writes this PDF file, this white paper that says just call all the patriots and all the veterans, just call them conspiracy theorists. And so that's what they do ever since that paper came out. Anybody that questions any party line, any narrative, anybody that questions anything put out by the state is a conspiracy theorist. So we can only imagine how much Clinton paid Cass Sunstein for that paper. I bet he got, maybe $500,000, $500,000 to write the 14-page PDF brilliant file white paper, call everybody a conspiracy theorist. And he talks in the paper about how dangerous conspiracy theorists are. And so you should get that paper. It is a PDF file you can find on the internet because it's not worth anything, although our government probably paid $500,000 for it. It's good to understand what they really think of anybody questioning the state narrative. And it is good to know where they're coming from. There was another paper, I think in the 60s, that said when people talk about UFO sightings, you just bring up the little green man. So you see, they take it to an extreme. Somebody brings up, we saw these snipers at this mass shooting event. Oh, you probably saw Bigfoot. That's their tactic. And this was pretty well documented in the 60s as there's technique to make extreme suggestions to piggyback on the real observation to make it sound crazy. Why am I telling you this? If you listen to people on the radio and they're talking about aliens and Bigfoots and things, there's a clue. There's a clue for you. They're using that tactic to make nonsense out of the truth movement, out of those people is simply looking for truth and logic. And some of these events just don't have that truth and logic. So just watch out for that tactic, which gets me then into the college professor salaries in general, why American students can't afford college. Cass Sunstein, probably tenured, probably making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year salary. Those professors used to make $80,000. Now they're making, hundreds of thousands. And what I want you to do is go to your state website. Each state, which has state universities, have to have the salaries posted of their professors. Go to your state website and do a search, and you'll be amazed how many professors at these state-funded colleges have $400,000 plus salaries. This is not sustainable. When these professors retire, we should not be offering $400,000 salaries at a state college. When you ask why American kids can't afford college, here's why. It's the salaries, the benefits, the retirement programs. These have gotten way extreme. You can follow that right to the college football coaches making $5-7 million per year. There has to be some logic brought in on these high-end salaries. We have to stop this. It's not sustainable. It's going to take the entire economic system down. And you can continue with that into government employees. It used to be you were serving the people and you're going to make $20,000, $30,000 a year working for one of the state agencies. Now they're at $80,000, $100,000, $200,000. They're way out of whack. Good unions, good corruption, however they've done it. They've gotten these way out of balance. And when these people retire, we need to cut this down. This needs to be cut out. If there's any one single issue, it is stopping the celebrity status of all these different job titles. Not all. There are some that have remained pretty reasonable, but some of these have gotten like way out of whack. Like everybody has to be a millionaire at the top. I call it this celebrityism. The college professor is a celebrity now. They got to be paid like a celebrity. And that's what we're seeing, college football coaches. We have to get some reasonable caps back on this stuff, because it is going to take the entire system down the longer we let this continue. It's not socialism. I'm not a proponent of socialism, but I'm more a proponent of sensible salaries and not letting these things just get way out of whack. You don't have to take my word for it. I can probably pull the charts and provide them up for you here. But I think if you follow the trends, you're going to see it. Suddenly, all this stuff just went way out of whack with reality, with the average person. And this is a subject we have to talk about that they don't want to talk about. And that, again, has been different professions have been able to greatly expand their value. And this has to be scaled back in some way. I'm not against a person making a good, hefty salary, but not at the expense of students and not at the expense of citizens. These states are becoming insolvent. The whole system is going to go under. And I think already a lot of these people who work for the government are not going to be getting their pensions. I think it will be collapsing, and it's going to be pretty tough. I see that if they won't voluntarily get this stuff back in line, it's going to lead to a very difficult situation. Another Great Depression? Possibly. Another restructuring where they come out with a new currency or use the cryptocurrencies to save them. There's going to have to be a big adjustment. So a lot of this is the low-end salaries have been getting lower because inflation has effectively lowered the lower-end salaries. And at the upper ends of the corporations and the universities and even in government, at the upper ends, they're making a killing. And it's this big separation between the ones at the top and the ones in the masses. It's a big gap. They pretty much are attacking the middle class, the middle salaries. They want you very poor or very wealthy. And we don't want that system. That system can lead to a lot of issues as well as revolution and upheaval. We need a strong middle class. And that is part of this policy. They're attacking the middle class, the middle range salaries, and we have to really focus in and demand that our elected officials address this area. That's why we're seeing more homeless. They've allowed rents and mortgages to skyrocket. It takes 2 or 3 incomes to pay for those rents and mortgages. And so the system, again, has all been corrupted. We have to get back to where one person can make a middle-class wage and pay housing and energy and basic services for the entire family. That's why children have nobody home watching them because everybody's working. They've allowed the landlords to become extremely wealthy. This is why in Africa they're starting to basically steal the land that the wealthy farmers had and were holding, and that's not right either. We don't want the government using domain and taking the lands back. And again, this is going to lead to violence and revolution, and that may be the design. But these property values in the United States need to go under control. A 100 by 100 lot cannot be worth $1 million, $10 million. They've been able to do this in certain parts of the country. I know it sounds great if you're holding that particular lot. But again, this is where the sacrifice comes in. It's not good for the entire country when these things are all skewed out of whack, out of alignment. I think California is very near to collapse because that's exactly where they started a lot of this in California with land values. Way, way extreme valuing. And so we have a problem economically. I think we'll have to bring in an economic guest to get more into this. But tonight I just felt like blowing off some steam and complaining about it. So that's what I do here on the Late Night Hour. I'd like to thank you for joining us. Feel free to give us a call, 515-602-9663. It's time for me to get another beverage, and I'll be right back.
Into a midnight haze, she will follow you. She will follow you. She will follow you. She will follow along.
You're listening to The Late Night Hour with Alex Abrams.
Also in the news, the Vatican continues to come under scandals, and now they're saying the Pope was covering up for pedophilia. So we've got a whole big issue there going on with the Catholic Church. You know, I just realized that I promised to talk about QAnon tonight, and it's a very important subject. So I think tomorrow we're going to make tomorrow the QAnon night, and I will remember to start with that. But I think the shooting in Florida kind of made me go a different direction. That's what we do here. Some days I may just tell jokes. I don't know how I will be feeling. Certainly disgusted normally looking at the news stories. There was another headline about kissing bugs disease, and I thought, gee, what kind of person kisses the bugs? I mean, is this some fetish where they have to take the cute little bug or the ugly little bug and give them a kiss, and then they're getting this disease? So I didn't know, but there's actually a bug called kissing. So it's not people kissing the bugs. It's the bug is called a kissing bug. And I didn't even know the kissing bug existed. So this totally blew my mind as I just sat around for hours picturing these different people, different relatives and friends kissing the bugs. And it turns out that that really wasn't the case. So, like I say, sometimes you got to go a little deeper than just look at those headlines. I didn't even want to look because I thought they'd have photos of people kissing bugs. Okay, so no, not going there, but I eventually did dig a little deeper to find out they meant the bug is called a kissing bug, and they can kill you, so be aware of those. Also in the news, drones are replacing farm laborers. We know McDonald's has been testing the kiosks where you just punch in what you want. Kiosks are becoming more popular, no human. So, you know, in time and over time, we're going to see a lot of jobs eliminated with technology because at some point it becomes cheaper to make a robot to do the jobs that humans don't want to do. And so we have to be prepared for that, and you do too. If you think you're in a career field where the job may be eliminated by a machine, it is something you're going to have to get in front of and do some research and maybe make a career shift. Don't be caught in the crosshairs of the termination drone taking your job and your benefits. Now, I know what you're thinking. Talk radio hosts are going away and the AI is going to take my place. Well, it's possible, I guess. I mean, I think they're working on these virtual actors and actresses that are going to replace a lot of the Hollywood stars. Well, I guess, you know, all the abuse and pedophilia is going to go away if we have machines who are actors and actresses. I mean, is the director couch really going to want to take advantage of the machine? Maybe, but let's hope that scales back, you know, that aspect of Hollywood. So maybe there's some benefits of letting the machines take over. Certainly some of the actors and actresses don't act very well. And so, you know, I start to think, hey, well, maybe there's some benefits to this takeover by all of the artificial intelligence, robots, drones. Certainly I don't want to be hunted down and killed by the robot dog, which China was testing. But maybe there's some other benefits. A little cheaper to raise a robot dog. They used to have these freeze-dried pets where if your pet passes away, you could have your pet freeze-dried in the pose of your choice and kind of have him sitting there in your living room for the rest of your life, because the freeze-dried lasts, you know, for a long time. But that fad didn't take off, thank goodness. So I don't know. I used to have a relative that had a freeze-dried pet, but I don't think I have too many now, so that's good. The other growing area is this collective community crematoria where they cremate your asses ashes, let's say that word very carefully, cremate your ashes, and then they spread your ashes with other people in this community garden, and plants can grow from your remains, something like that. I hope it's cremated, but that seems to be another growing trend, offering to reduce the price of cremation and coffins and things. So there's all these environmental ideas out there that you can take advantage of. And boy, I guess if we see it growing, we'll have to get an advertiser in some of these areas, either for the freeze-dried pets or the community cremation gardens. I guess we need to do some research there, and maybe find a sponsor or two. And I guess that's possible, some of these inventions. And so I guess the good news is, at least for right now, the elite are allowing us, the little guys, the masses, to live for another day or two. There has been talk of nuclear buildups and nuclear testing and nuclear scenarios of all the U.S. cities coming under attack. And it's purely at a planning stage, but there has been some rumblings in those areas. And certainly they make more money if there's a war between the United States and Russia or China than peace. Peace does not make any money for the military-industrial complex. And as much as some of these generals and colonels talk about their support of America, et cetera, they also like to support their pensions and their benefits and their salaries. And I think that's the downside of having, again, wages that are out of whack with reality. It was never intended you could become a general and become a millionaire. But that's kind of the trend now. A lot of these generals are in corporate America. And it was never intended for that kind of system to exist. I think retiring from the military, you can make quite a bit of cash nowadays if you get to the right level. Not all the soldiers, of course. The little guys get stomped on. The guys at the top make the killing. And that's part of the whole corruption system, to just control the few people at the top with massive amounts of funding, which creates this system of corruption. If you're new to the late night hour, you'll probably notice I get on here at 10 o'clock Pacific time. I can spend anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours ranting about the news of the day, trying to keep you better informed. And depending on what callers we get and who shows up in the chat room, I sometimes go on for those 2 hours. But tonight's pretty quiet and pretty peaceful. So other than the shooting in Jacksonville, a possible NAFTA deal, I can't wait to see that. NAFTA 1 was a total screw-over of America. I can only imagine what NAFTA 2 is going to do. So that's scary. And the Pope begging for forgiveness. It's been a pretty quiet evening. And so with that, I think we'll call it an end for our Sunday night, and hope you come back Monday night. And we will remember on Monday not to miss, because it's going to be QAnon night. I'll tell you everything I know about QAnon. I know it's a subject a lot of people follow, and maybe I can help you with that subject. You have a great evening, and thank you for listening.
You're listening to the Late Night Hour.